Hi everyone, it is me, Sailor Moon, and it's me, Sailor Mini Moon, and today we're going to talk about, you know, well, first off, your hair's a sty. Yeah, well, I can't do anything about it until I'm done making this film. Anyway, so we're going to talk about here today about who made the greater Sailor Moon dolls. Now I know that it's between IRWIN or BANDAI, and a lot of folks, have a belief that some say that IRWIN did a good work and some say that BANDAI did good work. Now BANDAI have been making Sailor Moon dolls on and off since 9 between 92 YL, I guess 9 between 93 YL is want to be earn about it. And IRWIN Toy was only got a deal to start making the dolls and selling the ones that Bandai made from 9 between 95 YL till 2001 YL. So, and a lot of folks, I think at the end of the day, I felt that IRWIN Toy or Bandai both did good work, making the dolls. Or, making the stand, or, the staffs, or the shape-shifting stick, or other things that would come along with it. And a lot of folks out there will say that call the first dolls that were made by Bandai and the first dolls made by IRWIN, they call them long-leered because their leers seem to be longer. And a lot of folks seem to call them ugly. But I never felt that the first IRWIN or Bandai dolls were ugly. They were not. The ones that a lot of folks like to say are more beautiful were the ones that were made by IRWIN starting in 2001 YL, and by that time the Sailor Moon show had ran through its 4 followings that Deacon Clivaway had the rights to work with. And so, yeah. And there's always going to be folks that always will say, oh well, IRWIN did more good making the dolls than Bandai did, or Bandai made a good work making the dolls than IRWIN did. And sometimes it was hard to know which was which unless you looked on the side of the box, or on the back of the head or back of the neck of the doll, and it would tell you who made what, or what it would say on the stand. Well, what do you think about this, Sailor Mini Moon? Since I believe you were made by Bandai. Yeah, I may have been made by Bandai or IRWIN. It's hard to know, because that was many years ago, the 4th month of 2009 YL to be true. And I can't think of who made me at the time. I know I came with my staff and my shape-shifting stick, and that was about it. I didn't come with Luna Ball or Luna Bee. Other offshoots made by Bandai and IRWIN later on would come with that, but the one I got did not come with it. But to say who made the greater dolls, that's always up to a belief between IRWIN and Bandai. I mean, when you stop to think of it, there was the Bandai ones that came out first, and IRWIN dolls would come out after that, or IRWIN would sell what Bandai was making, and then they would start making their own after that. But at the end of the day, at least this one, the gloves were already on. You didn't have to put them on like in some early offshoots of IRWIN dolls where you had to put the gloves on because they weren't already on. No, yield. I had to put my gloves on. They weren't already on. That was one thing that made a Bandai doll unlike a IRWIN doll, where IRWIN made it where the gloves were already on, Bandai made it where the gloves had to be put on the doll. So just one more thing you had to do after you got the doll out of its bonnet, out of its, out of the box, if you chose to keep the box. Yeah, you're right, Sailor Mini Moon. At the end of the day, that was one thing that IRWIN didn't have you do, that Bandai would have you do, is that with IRWIN you didn't have to, the gloves were already on the doll, so one last thing you had to do, once you got it out of the box. And speaking about that, you got doll gatherers who gather every Sailor Moon doll ever made from IRWIN and Bandai. These are ones being made now, and they're under the belief that you got to keep it in the box. They think if you take it out of the box, it lost its worth. You're never going to get the same. You're never going to get the same worth for it now if you trade it in or sell it or whatever you choose to do with it. At the end of the day, dolls were meant to be played with, not to be kept in boxes. And getting back onto that, doll gatherers always had a belief that the early IRWIN dolls or early Bandai dolls were ugly because of their long leers, and always went on to believe that the later IRWIN and Bandai dolls that came out in 2001 YL were more greater than that because their leers were more beautiful. Now, at least IRWIN and Bandai never, gotten into that bind that Hasbro and Mattel gotten into, where folks would scave them and say, oh, you made the dolls look too lifelike. True man-like and true woman-like beings don't truly look like that. But we're not going to talk about that whole bind, because that'll be a whole other film for a whole other day, and we wouldn't really know much about that. But anyway, at the end of the day, I always thought that IRWIN and Bandai both did good work making the dolls, making the stands, the clothing, the staff, the other weapons, anything else that they made along with it. So what do you think? You think IRWIN made a good work making the dolls? You thought it was Bandai? Hey, I'm going to end this now. Anyway, if you like this film, then follow us over here at Sailor Moon for Life. Watch the other film we made yesterday over here. Sailor Mini Moon, or Small Moon, or Little Moon Rini, and that's over there is Sailor Moon Serena, and I'll see you later. Goodbye. Yeah, and once again, leave me to always have to end my films.